agree. I think you guys have got to put that pressure on your club and on that manager to get over the line and win trophies this year.
Yeah,
the same as last year.
On
it has to be. Well, I think having the conversation.
It'll be the manager out. The manager out.
We've done the whole Kroenke out, this guy out, this guy out. Like, what can fans do? I'm genuinely asking. Like,
I'll ask you a question. The fans will have to. If he doesn't win anything, it'll have to be an Arteta out movement. You got Wenger out because he didn't win nothing, and then you all started protesting. If that happens again with Arteta, then he'll go. But listen, for me, I just think the signings have been trash. I'll be real with you, man. I don't think you made the right signings at all. Right, you spent 75 million quid in the summer.
We just haven't signed level raisers.
You signed Calafiori, who, in my opinion, won't even get in the team because I think Timber's a better player. You signed Marino, who I think is. I don't really rate this guy either. And then you signed Sterling.
A bit like what you said. Sorry to cut you, Obi. A bit like what you said about you see what you said about them rotation players who are now starting. That's where I'm at with Mikel Merino. I personally feel with him, Arsenal, that's another one that shows the lack of balance, because on one hand, he's not good enough. And then you've got on the other hand, he's going to change our lives. He's going to be better than Xhaka. He's going to fix everything. That is a squad player, decent squad player. But we do this thing at Arsenal where, as you said, we take these rotationary players and we make them regulars. And we're surprised that even at their best, they can't get over the line. That's what I mean by when I say we shoot ourselves in the foot. This summer had to be about level raises. Now, I know we're not going to sign players for 100 million, like 3 players for 100 million, but we could not have gone out of that summer and thought, yes, we're really, really closer to City, and obviously with what we're seeing with Liverpool. So
I'll tell you what as well, yeah. I think Havertz is a mad problem as well, because he will
be if we sign a striker, because you're going to have to play him midfield, Havertz. Which,
bro, I just don't think he's good enough as a striker. Now, people will go, he scored goals last year. He scored goals halfway through the year. Yeah, he scored goals in the first half of the year when he played in a different position or whatever. And he's not clinical enough. He's not clinical enough. And I think he's a bit of a problem, because people won't look at it and go, it's a problem because he scores goals. But in the big moments, he don't score.
But that's where
I think you need to go out there and get like an Osimhen, or go and get a Gyökeres, or like a proper striker, man. I think Osimhen's the one
that's where Arteta and the recruitment stuff, because for me, I think you've drawn all the blood you can out of Kai Havertz. You know, I don't think he's amazing and whatnot, but I think you've given us what you can. You're just not the guy to get us over the line. You didn't buy yourself. You're not playing yourself. It's the recruitment. You spent 65 million on him. Like, I'm not saying Kai has been terrible, but could that have 65 million went to the Osmans, as you said, or the Gyökeres or whatever? This is where it feels like we shoot ourselves in the foot and we're having the same old conversation.
You seem to buy players and then outgrow them real quick. So like you bought Zinchenko, 30 mil, outgrown.
Jesus as well.
You bought Jesus, 50 mil, outgrown him. Yeah, you bought Kivior, outgrown him already. Yeah, you bought Havertz
on the bench.
Bit of a problem now. You seem to buy players and then within a year go, you know what, they're either not good enough or we're just too good for them. You know what I mean? Sometimes a player has a limit, right? They're just not good enough for you. So for me, I think Arsenal need to go and buy like some big dogs now. Go and get Osimhen, yeah, because that'll frighten the life. Havertz don't frighten no one. Yeah, he's not clinical enough. Go and get Osimhen, man, or someone like that, yeah. I think you need another creative midfielder. And then I don't think you're a million miles away.
Do you know what it is? Well. There isn't any harm in saying we got something wrong and we're going to fix it. I think fans appreciate that more than sticking with someone who isn't working. And I think that's something that Arsenal in January need to do. Interesting stories I've read, and some of this is fan theory, some of this is from journalists around, you know, Arteta not being happy with his wing options, and maybe there was some conflict between him and Edu, which reminded me of what Potts said at the start of the season, that he was more focused on the Edus and the Cronkies than he was Arteta, because he felt you sort of alluded to the fact that you didn't feel that Arteta even himself would have been particularly happy with what you bought in the summer.
I would like to think he wouldn't have been. I would like to think he wouldn't have been happy with that, because for me, when you're selling the players, and this is what people think, well, we had to get rid of Eddie and Smith-Rowe. Totally agree. But we had to upgrade on them. And by selling 4 players in Vieira, Nelson, Eddie Nketiah and Smith-Rowe, and bringing in Raheem Sterling, you're telling me that's stronger than last season. Day. You're wrong on deadline day. And then Edu tells us to get excited because you're going to be happy by the end of it. And then Sterling comes in on loan. And of course, we're not happy with that, right? It was a poor end to the transfer window. So for me, the owners and the board, they get away with a lot of murder, in my opinion. And I'm not a massive fan of what Mikel Arteta has done in terms of what he's won at the club, right? I've always demanded we should be wanting more. And I never thought he was the right appointment. I think he's done brilliantly to get us challenging with Manchester City. I think that's fair, and I've praised him for that. But there's a lot that I've given him stick for, and I think it's been justified and deserved, if I'm honest with you. And again, We're getting more cluster of results, Terry. More clusters of results that we were looking at last season and the season before. And the season before that when we were going for top 4, by the way. Because I remember us losing to Brighton, Palace and Southampton in a row. And then the season after that, we lost to West Ham. We drew to West Ham and Liverpool after being 2-0 up, and then drew to Southampton being 3-1 down. And then last season, you look at what happened with the West Ham and Fulham and Liverpool results, and then Villa at home at the Emirates. This is always going to happen. And LB's bang on about Havertz, by the way. Kai Havertz has got a massive role in this team to contribute for Arsenal, but he should not be the only option up front with nothing around it. And I think Mikel Arteta has worked out pretty quickly. There's only really Saka and Havertz that are 100% staying at Arsenal in that attack, because there's question marks over Trossard and Martinelli. There's question marks over Jesus and Sterling, and everyone else has been sold or not been good enough. And you've gone 5 years now, and this is your 6th year, I believe, where the only 4 attacking players you've bought are Jesus, Sterling, Havertz, Trossard, 5.
Havertz, who he failed upwards with,
yeah,
he tried to do the centre mid thing.
5. So I'm one of those as a midfielder, he told in an interview when he first come here. Now he's our number 9. So there's 5 attack-minded players there, none of which have even been good enough, half of which have gone, and some of which are going to be out the door soon. So where is our striker? Where is our Aubameyang replacement, who was told he had to get out of the club because he was toxic? Brilliant. Get rid of him. Who do we get in then? Who's the 30 goals a season striker to replace him? We ain't got one yet. We need one in January.
Yeah, and you ain't getting Euclides. We're getting him in the summer, bro. He's coming in.
Oh, yeah, there could be a fight there, man. So between him, I tell you, I think he's a boy, bro. I love him.
He does look a little. He looked good against City. Even I watched their game on Sunday. I've watched a lot of sporting in the last month, and he didn't score in their 4-2 comeback, but he's general play. He's very good. He's very, very good. Obviously, the Premier League's a different kettle of fish, but this here from Tony, he says the main problem is the Cronkies. Since they've been here, we've won nothing. Whatever manager it is, it does not matter. Rice was our first big name signing since I can remember. We need a game changer. Yeah, I think Tony, I think everyone on the panel has said that, like, go out and buy more.
Is it the main problem though, or is it not the way they spend the money?
Yeah, that is the way. That is the main problem. Where we spend the money.
The way that they spend the money is the problem. Not that they spend money. Arsenal. They spent how much you spent, Dan, since Arteta's been there? 800 mil. 700 mil. I spent 700 million. You know what I mean? But like, if you look at some of the players that we just mentioned, Jesus 50, Zinchenko 30, Kivior 25, Vieira, what was that, 30?
Yeah, it's true. Well, maybe that's why
Edu,
maybe that's why the Edu things happen as well, though. Maybe the Cronkies have looked at that and said, you know, because that's his job. That's not the head coach or the manager's job in football anymore. Pep don't do it. Klopp didn't. Well, the time that Klopp did take over, most Liverpool fans would admit he bought some shit. Like, maybe Edu has spent the money and the club have looked at it and said, you know what, mate, you've just not invested it wisely. And that's why he's moved. So I think that, again, I'm not defending Arteta. I definitely think there's improvements he could make, but we have to not pretend that that's not how clubs are structured in the modern day world. Like the Edu role,
if you take it away though from
Arteta for the purchases.
If you take it away from Arteta for a second, let's forget that he's the manager, right? This happened under Sven Mislintat and Unai Emery and Raul Sanllehi. The same thing happened there. The same thing happened under Arsene Wenger and Ivan Gazidis. The same thing happened before Mikel Arteta was here. But who was here? Stan Kroenke and Joshua Kroenke. So it's been happening for a long time now. I just went back to the Fabregas and Van Persie era where this was happening. Ozil and Sanchez era, this was happening. Aubameyang and Lacazette under Emery, this was happening. And it seems now it's happening again. We've already done 3 youth projects, by the way. Yeah, with these players. This is the 3rd youth project we're doing. If this one don't work, and now we're selling the youth, by the way.
Yeah, well, no, listen, I hear you. Look, I can't be a hypocrite about this when United were getting it wrong again and again and again.
Yeah, facts.
I always went back to the Glazers because at the end of the day, whether it's the manager or the person hiring the manager, they're still making those decisions, and you can't move. Like City fans, rightfully so, laud their owners as much as they love Pep, as much as they love everyone else that's been there. Without Sheikh Mansour and that group, none of this would have happened.
In the situation they're in. You're right.
Yeah. So I think there's multiple conversations need to be had. This is.